So this is going to be a bit more of a serious talk. Uh, we all know by now that Yu-Gi-Oh is not in an amazing place. Um, Now, the YCS of Niagara Falls just happened, and I saw a couple of people a bit more hopeful uh, compared to the previous YCS, where the alley was half full, if we're being generous. And the reason is the format is not fun. People are not having fun. The cards cost too much. The format is bad. It's just too many things that do too many stuff. Uh, yeah, nothing is making sense. Cards are too powerful, and there's barely anything you can do most of the time. Uh, with uh, with Niagara, we are seeing a little bit more of hope because you can see the pie chart here is featuring a bit more variety of decks, with obviously uh, Snake Eyes being still dominant. Then we have Fire King, Tenpai, and Yubel with a bit of Rescue Ace. If we look at the top statistics, the broader number are these ones. We see 7 Snake Eyes, but despite that, the winner is a Fire King. Now, some people, as I said, are more hopeful. Uh, I'm not as hopeful because yeah, the format is a bit more varied right now, especially in Niagara. Fire King won. There was a Sky Striker. Then we have all the rest. Uh, the problem here is later. So as I scroll down here a bit more with the deck lists uh, that got featured in the uh, tournament in the top 32, we see that the absolute king is still either Snake Eye or Tenpai Dragon. We see a bit more variety with good decks, like for example Sky Striker being still pretty good, but reaching the runner-up. The problem is with all the rest, but even Sky Striker is not really safe from this. First of all, we can see that the first place was, yes, won by a Fire King, but it was a Snake Eyes Fire King. So it's still a pretty, it's still a Snake Eyes, guys. The top is all Snake Eyes. Let's not make fun of ourselves. We see also Azamina, which is new. Uh, the big problem here is the pricing of the decks. You can see that the cheapest deck here is the Sky Striker deck at $400. We should be able to see the list. Uh, Card market it's $100 less, which is good. But yeah, this is the cheapest deck you can afford currently in this top 32. With not even TTT is costs that much, not even Lightning Storm. But yeah, this is the cheapest deck, and that's exactly the problem. If we see all the other decks, we see the winner costed $1,200. We see fifth place at $1,000, and this is just Labyrinth, which I will proceed to open the deck list, and yeah, you can see that Mulchar Mifuvalos is probably the biggest hitter about the pricing, and probably even Dominus Impulse. Transaction rollback is it's mid as a price, but yeah, you can see that the deck pricing is uh, it's still, despite the difference of $200 between the two sites to buy cards, it's still pretty bad. Same thing about the Snake Eyes Fair Azamina. Again, free Fuwaros, free Bonfire, free Sinful Spoils, etc. etc. We also have Dominus Impulse. So you can see that the problem, if even if people are saying the format has more variety, you can see that the core problem is not the format much, but how much competing in this format is a problem. We're seeing insane prices, and this is bad. Now think I am currently learning uh, Pokemon TCG and Magic the Gathering. Pokemon TCG has this very well done thing where uh, the cards have two rarities, one for the collector, and that actually costs a lot. While the competitive version of the card, which is usually a lesser rarity, costs nothing, it's more common. So that's a very good thing that the Pokemon TCG is doing. Whereas about Magic, despite Magic still being uh, decently pricey, despite Magic being known for being exceptionally pricey, we can see that this is a standard challenge. This is the least challenge. It's literally yesterday at the time of the recording. Uh, we can see that a lot of decks here are uh, still pricey. It's still nothing it's still a lot compared to Pokemon, where the most competitive decks are around $60, basically $1 per card in the deck. But still, you can see that the runner-up is still $100. Okay, you can see here, like the most priced cards are a bit here and there. It's mostly the lands because are special lands, but you usually, depending on the deck, you don't need special cards. Here we see Grulag, which is the problem deck at the moment. I recently learned about this bull crap that they're pulling. So yeah, the most priced deck of Magic the Gathering is around the same price of the uh, of one of the least pricey decks of Yu-Gi-Oh, which is this version of Tenpai Dragon. And this version of Tenpai Dragon, as you can see on screen, doesn't even have all three Fuvalos, which is not good. It does feature uh, Purulia, so there's that, but they're still pretty close in price. But this is the most pricey of the top 18. We can see the top 32, the highest, it's still the highest price. Like $600 is still the highest price, and it's almost double the average price. Whereas the runner-up is $100, and the first place is $300, which is kinda like the runner-up. So you can see that Pokemon pricing and Magic pricings are uh, way more affordable than Yu-Gi-Oh prices. Now, the format problems that those other two games have are kinda comparable to the format of Yu-Gi-Oh right now. I mentioned Magic right now seems to have a problem with red aggro that wins turn 1. It's essentially an instant burn deck, whereas Pokemon has a problem dealing with the various Terrapagos that are basically immune to damage. Those are pretty big problems. Uh, as in Yu-Gi-Oh, we have a problem with Snake Eyes, Yubel, Tenpai Dragon. The difference is that in the other games there are just one deck that it's actually problematic, if we don't count the blues on Magic, but blue is hated always. It's pretty much like saying in Yu-Gi-Oh we have a problem with Labyrinth. Nobody likes control. I'm sorry, it's tragic for control players. I'm sorry, Omis, but most of the times your strategy are very annoying. I'm sorry, but overall, Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't seem the best place to compete right now, and the problem, the only way they can solve this problem is doing something about the format, the pricings, and the reprints. They have to change the reprint policy and the rarity policy to do something similar to Pokemon at least. This is the deck that won the World Championship, and it doesn't even reach $60. This deck won the World Championship as compared to the deck that won the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship, which was a Yubel deck which costs a lot more. So our rarity policy, kind of like the one with Pokemon, should be enough. Like, for example, where is it? We have boss orders. There's this version of boss orders. If I click here, there should be, yes. We have this version of boss orders, and then we have the rare version of boss orders, which you can see costs a bit more. Then we have the rainbow, which is Giovanni's, which is the most iconic boss, $40 because it's the rainbow full art, yada yada yada. So yeah, the problems are still there. They need to fix it, along with another very bad problem: the Yu-Gi-Oh community. The community is not welcoming for certain kinds of people. The community is not acknowledging the amount of misogyny, queerphobia that it has. And that's a problem because a lot of top players, and a lot of the times these top players are also content creators in the sphere. These people are not nice people. Not all of them are bad people. Of course, there's still a lot of creators and duelist top players out there that I'm statistically sure they're nice people, but the misogyny is rampant. The queerphobia is rampant. It's a big problem because these players go unpunished. They post on social media. They have second accounts where they can essentially spit all of their nonsense. This only got worse after a certain asshole got arrested a couple of years ago for ordering one pizza too much. A lot of respected players and creators come out on Twitter and showed support to said asshole, and they're still here. They're still unbanned, unrestricted. I think these kind of people should be put away from the community because they are creating a climate of hatred and discrimination towards certain groups of people, and that discourages players from playing, essentially, which is pretty bad. Now, as we learned on the previous YCS, they seem to have a problem at dealing with plants, which is pretty funny because if I ever show up at one of these YCS, I will probably bring a Predaplant deck to defeat them all, since they apparently have problems of dealing with plants. So that will probably be funny. But yeah, I think that Yu-Gi-Oh needs to solve. We need Konami to solve the pricing problem. Although I don't think they care enough. They sell a lot of product for selling these Fuwaros and whatever. Uh, as the how the community feels, it's they don't really care. Like the last time I heard that they banned a non-player was a couple of years ago, and it was because it did a big fuss online, which obviously forced them to respond. But we cannot wait for big bad stuff to happen in order to solve things. Okay, we don't need a huge backlash. They should know better. Although they don't care. They could make the same rarities as the OCG. Like I'm happy for the OCG players that uh, the game is cheaper for them. Like one copy of Fuwaros for them it's $20, 20 cents, which it's baffling. It's how it should be, but it's not. But it should be like this for everyone. I don't see Konami TCG caring enough. I'm a bit real because the TCG is much a bigger market to sell much more products for the prize cards. I don't see them caring enough about players having to deal with highly priced singles, singles that are already difficult to find, and the fact that some people want to, you know, cash a bit the over the rarity of the cards, which is pretty bad in my opinion. Uh, I think that Takahashi will be disappointed in us, although I think even people don't give a shit because people at this point don't give a shit. They're probably trying to use this game to, I don't know. It's disappointing. It's pretty difficult even making content on this game at this point, except for discussing how the tournaments went and whatever. Uh, I will probably do content about the other card games I mentioned. Uh, I'm already preparing a couple of videos about that. Uh, but I'm not quitting Yu-Gi-Oh! Because if I happen to buy a card, a single card, maybe I find a copy of, I don't know, Alba Renatus at a good price, I will buy it. It's just discouraging doing content or being a Yu-Gi-Oh player like right now. I don't feel like deck building. I don't feel like I should do something. So if the game gets better in the future, of course, you can expect something done from me if I feel so. But at the moment, it's pretty harsh if you're not a full-time Yu-Gi-Oh creator, because I'm not a full-time Yu-Gi-Oh creator. I in my channel do a lot of stuff, so I'm not like MBT that pulls out weird videos about stuff that does Twitter discussion. I'm not that kind of creator. I'm more of a variety. It's just that within this variety, making Yu-Gi-Oh stuff specifically, it's disheartening because every time I think of something I can do for Yu-Gi-Oh, I either get it with uh, how do you deal with Snake Eyes? How much does this deck cost? Uh, and or I read the community and people people that are creeps just get more recognition and nobody's doing anything. It's very disheartening. I'm usually not someone that pays too much attention to the community, but in this case, since it's colleagues, you can say, since it's other duelists that I may meet on determined tournaments, I don't wanna deal with these people. So yeah, it's a pretty bad spot. Let me know in the comments what you think about it, and we'll see you in another video. God knows about what card game, but a card game for sure, because I can't stay away from pretty cardboard.